If the hydraulics on your Ford, Jubilee, or NAA drift down, like you have an implement on your tractor and they just won't hold the implement up into the air and it slowly drifts down, or if your 3-point arms work on their own, but as soon as you hook up an implement, they no longer lift. If your tractor kind of has the hiccups, like it gives this jerky motion all the way up, then you might be in need of doing a top lid repair on your hydraulic system. Now, the Jubilee tractor was made in 1953 and the NAA was just like it, made in 1954. And there's some similarities. In some ways, it's like the 8N before it, and in other ways, it's like the 600 Ford that came after it. My dad, Dan, and I have made complete tutorials for the 8N and the 600 tractor. In this video, we're going to talk about the differences that are on the Jubilee, and you'll be able to piece together these differences with the instruction that we've given in the other models to do a complete top lid repair on your tractor. Now, the most notable difference is the removal process for the top lid. So you still remove all the bolts off of the perimeter, just like normal, like you've seen before, and in the back you take these pins off so that your 3-point arms drop and free up your center yoke here. But what's different is on the right-hand side, if you were sitting on the seat of the tractor down by your right heel, you'll notice that there's an acorn nut here. You need to use an 1 1/16 wrench to remove the acorn nut, and behind it you'll see a screw that you have to back out before you take the top lid off of the tractor. Once you have everything freed up, you can use a couple pry bars just to loosen it if you need to. And then you'll see here, we're using a cherry picker to pull the top lid off because it is kind of heavy. If my dad does this repair by himself, he'll lift the top lid off by himself. I don't. I use a cherry picker because I'm not as strong. So if you don't have a cherry picker, maybe you can handle it yourself or just get a friend to help you lift that up off of the tractor. When you're ready to repair the hydraulics on your Jubilee or NAA, you'll need some parts. The parts that are on this table are offered on our website, farmtractorrepair.com. This is the Jubilee, we call it the top lid gasket set, which of course has the top lid gasket, the leather and O-ring for the piston, other small O-rings in the quadrant gasket, and the gasket that goes underneath the cylinder. That's all one set. We also sell the side inspection door gasket individually. The piston is sold individually. This is a 2.5-inch piston for a NAA or Jubilee. This little seal goes on that screw behind the acorn nut, and that is also sold individually. The pivot pin, this is the same relief valve that's in the pump on an 8N, but it's in the top lid on a Jubilee. New pins that hold the 3-point arms into place. This is the cork and friction disc where the lever is on the side of your tractor. This is a new dipstick, and then all of these parts go on the back of the tractor. You can purchase a new yoke and spring and plunger, but most commonly this piece, because it's made out of sheet metal, is sometimes damaged, and of course the felt seal behind it. These are the two most popular choices of these 5 that I have shown here. All of these parts are on our website, farmtractorrepair.com. The back of this top lid where the spring is the exact same as the 8N, so if you need to make a repair there, reference the 8N video. And same goes for this lift control plate here in the cork that is behind it. That's good on the 8N video. Underneath the top lid here, you're gonna see that there's a pivot pin that affects if your hydraulics either only go all the way up or only go all the way down. You don't have an in-between position. It might be because your pivot pin is worn. We do show the removal and replacement process for the pivot pin on both the 8N, the 600, and the Ford 3000 video. In my opinion, our best explanation of that is our Ford 3000 top link video. So if you can find that and fast forward just to the part on the pivot pin, nothing else from that video is going to apply. But the pivot pin will, and that's our best explanation on how to remove and replace the pivot pin. You can see that there is a relief valve right here on the cylinder. This cylinder is different from the 8N video, but the piston inside is still the same 2.5-inch piston with a single groove. You're going to replace the leather and the O-ring just like we show on the 8N video. A new cylinder for a Jubilee is not available as a replacement part, so if your cylinder is worn, you're going to have to hone it and save it and work with the cylinder that you have, but you can replace the piston if need be. Then notice on the cylinder here you have this seal. It's imperative that you put a new seal in if you remove and replace your top lid. You just pull it out with a pick and replace it. It's very simple, but it's sold individually and it's important that you put a new one in. When you're ready to put your top lid back on your tractor, just make sure you have a new gasket and O-ring. That's different from an 8N, and then you're ready to put it back onto your tractor.